Cyberpunk Uncensored.
Hey, what's up everybody? This video is all about reputation, the good and the bad, and how it influences face downs. So let's get right into it. In Cyberpunk Red, they provide you with a reputation chart, and that basically takes you from 1 up through 10. And how that works is your reputation is, if you're at like 1 or 2 or 3, it's basically like anyone who was there knows, or maybe stories have gotten around to immediate friends, or in your, amongst your coworkers, or in your neighborhood, or all the way up to 10, where like, you're known worldwide. So that's how that chart works. Very simple to understand. 1 through 10, the higher the number, the bigger the reputation you have. Keep in mind that that reputation could be bad. That's why I mentioned, good or bad. As your players are doing deeds and accomplishing things, or doing things in sessions and campaigns, you're keeping that in mind. So like you're rewarding, their reputation if they're doing good things for the community or in the mission, or however that might be interpreted. If they're like, say, retreating in battle or running away from confrontations, they're gaining a bad reputation as being, a coward or weak, in which case that's considered bad reputation, not good. And now there's a couple ways you can handle that. In the Red Book, you'll see they kind of say that, a bad reputation can cancel out, a good reputation. There's a couple ways you can deal with that. You can constantly work the reputation table as you go. The more things they accomplish, the more their reputation rises. And then if they do something bad, or like cowardice, or something that would be considered a negative reputation action, then maybe you reduce that reputation point. So now if they're like, a 4 or 5, maybe they'll drop down to a 4 or 3 because they just did something cowardly. That's one way to handle it. The way I like to do it is a little more involved, but I keep track of 2 separate reputations. One reputation basically for all the good heroic sort of things that they do, and then one reputation for all those like coward things that they might do. So if they do things that are bad, or cowardice, or something that would be considered a bad reputation, I'll kind of track it over here. And if they do something good, I'll track it over here. And then that way, anytime that I have to do a reputation check, I gauge it accordingly. And here's how that works. So anytime that they meet a new NPC or whatever, you roll a 1d10. And then you look at their reputation and you just see, did that roll hit on that number or higher or lower? And if it's that number or higher, then they haven't heard of the person. That reputation, they just haven't heard of it. If it's beneath that number, then they have heard of that person. And keep in mind, it's that number or higher. So like if they have a reputation of 10, if you roll a 10, they haven't heard of them. They must have been living under a rock. They haven't heard that worldwide reputation. But if they roll under that 10, then they've definitely heard of that person. And the same thing for, whatever number it's on. If they have a reputation of 3 and you roll a 3 or higher, they haven't heard of them. If it's a 2 or a 1, they've heard of them. So that's how you kind of do a reputation check. What I like to do is each NPC that they meet, if they do have a bad reputation as well as a good reputation, I'll roll on that as well. And then I'll decide, okay, does that NPC, have they heard of that person for these good things? And then have they heard of that person for these bad things or cowardice things, And maybe they've heard of them for both. Maybe you roll to where they know both those reps. And then you just kind of decide, okay, which rep is, which are they known more for? And that's how the NPC will kind of react to them. Or maybe you rolled to where they didn't hear about the good reputation stuff. Maybe they have like a 5 reputation on good stuff, and they actually rolled like an 8. And then you rolled on that bad reputation, and you rolled beneath it, so they have heard of the bad reputation stuff. So you see how that might play out, and then that'll allow you to kind of gauge how the NPCs will react to the players, whether it's good or bad, based on which reputation they've heard of. So that's how doing a reputation check works. Now let's get into how that influences a face down, because this is pretty important. Anytime that your player encounters a new NPC or whatever, you gotta take into account that there might be a face down. Not every confrontation or introduction or whatever it might be just instantly goes to combat or instantly goes to debate or praise based on the reputation or whatever it is. There might be a sort of face down or a moment where they're kind of checking each other before they engage. They're trying to kind of front each other and see what's up. That's what a face down is. So you basically take your cool stat plus your reputation, keeping in mind that if they have a bad reputation, you're going to make that a negative modifier. You know what I mean? Or if they have a good reputation, it's a plus, it's a bonus modifier. And if you're keeping track of both, then just see which one is the higher number and go with that one. If they're better known for being good, then go with that number. If they're better known for, a bad reputation, take that negative modifier. And that just simplifies it. But basically you take the cool plus reputation plus 1d10, you roll that, you add that up, and then you compare that to the NPC. You do the same thing. You take their cool stat, their reputation, and their 1d10, and it's a contested roll. You see which one came out higher. Now, whoever came out higher, they're the ones who won that face down. And how that works is that the person that lost now, they either need to back down, just basically, oh shit, okay, yeah, hey, whatever you want, just do whatever you want. They back down, they walk away, whatever. They're retreating. They're backing down from the face down. Or they take a -2 modifier to any action that they take ongoing against that player until they beat them. Once they defeat them, then their face down that caused them to take that negative modifier or whatever is no longer affecting them. So that's basically how a face down works. So if they fail it, they're taking a -2 to all attacks and evasion and just anything that they're persuasion, anything that they're trying to do towards that player, or vice versa. Maybe the player failed the face down and now the player is taking a -2 on every action that they're trying to do towards that NPC. But anyways, that's how it works. It's very simple, and hopefully this video helped you better understand how reputation works. Just keep in mind, you can have a lot of fun with it. It's not just, good reputation. There's also bad reputation, and you can incorporate both of those styles into play depending on how the NPC rolls and knows the player. Also keeping in mind that reputation, could be good or bad. Don't forget that aspect of it because that's important. And then also how it plays into face downs. Keeping in mind that, the person might back down and just not want anything to do with the player or vice versa, or they're going to have to take that -2. So anyways, reputation has quite a bit to it. It's not just as simple as, oh, I know him or don't know him. So yeah, again, hopefully this video was helpful, and if it was and you dig it, give it a like, give it a share, subscribe to the channel, check out the links in the description. I would really love your support. Also be sure to check out the other videos that I've done for Cyberpunk Red. I'm doing a bunch of videos, basically a crash course on all the different rules and the ways that Cyberpunk Red works, and I would really appreciate your support if you like them. So thanks so much, everybody. Take care.